Greetings, everybody. Welcome to Keys to Your Best Life. I'm your host, Maggie Cavanaugh, and I have the amazing Jennifer with me today, Jennifer McGill. Some of you know her, and if you do not know her, you need to know her because she is an amazing woman of God. She is a songwriter, a speaker. I mean, her bio is just so long. It would take the whole 30 minutes to go into it. I'm for real, okay? 30 years in the industry of leading worship, writing songs, pop singer, you name it, she's done it. But you probably recognize her because her face has been out there for years as part of the new Mickey Mouse Club in the late 80s and or early 90s. And I was just starting to have kids, Jennifer. And it was like, for me, it was like the coolest thing because I remember like a net. We used to call her full of Jello. That's so wrong on many levels. So wrong on many levels. I was not a Christian when I was a kid. Let me put that out there. Welcome to the show, Jennifer. How are you?
Great. Thank you for having me. It's wonderful to see you again. I'm sorry it's not in person as usual, but I'm just so happy to be here with you and share this time.
Oh my goodness. I would love to hug your neck because you guys just don't know. This woman is so incredibly sweet. We run in the same circles. I think the first time I met you was maybe at the TV station.
Yes. Yeah. Mount Juliet. Absolutely.
Yes. And so since then, I mean, her passion for what she does, but not only that, her transparency. And I'm all about keeping it real. And I love how you share your story, but you guys, we're going to get into the story. So I want you guys to share this out with your friends, family, colleagues, get it out so everybody can see. But before we get too far into it, I'm excited about the new stuff you got coming down the pike here. So tell us what's going on in your life.
Well, so recently, my husband and I were in a new home, which you kind of see behind me. I'm developing a studio within my office here where I'm able to film more things. I'm able to do more photo shoots, and I do a monthly Stage It benefit concert. For those of you who don't know what Stage It is, it's a live broadcast, like a small ticket price, but you come into this live broadcast environment, and it's not like Facebook Live where it's recorded and then you can watch it later. It's kind of a one night only live moment where I get to perform some old Mickey Mouse Club songs and some songs from my 2017 Unbreakable album. And we raise money for some of my favorite charities. And I do that once a month. So I'm now starting to broadcast within this studio, which is very exciting. But also based on like video stuff, my husband and I have just launched a new company called Milestone Melodies. And this is a huge way that we get to take care of families who are interested in taking care of their loved ones in a new commemorative way. It's all audio and visual commemorative services where we write tailored, customized songs for your daughter's wedding, for your daddy-daughter dance, your anniversary, your birthday, even celebrating someone who's passed. And through that audio, as well as then choreographing a video to that, like snapshots or video footage, basically we create this audio-visual commemorative gift that lasts forever. It's really like a legacy. And so we're really excited about launching that. And you can go to milestonemelodies.com, or we're on Facebook as well to see more of what we do. Lots of YouTube videos as well. And finally, coming up on Black Friday, alwaysintheclub.com. It's a foundation made up of former Mouseketeers. We are releasing a Christmas album. It's called Why? Because It's Christmas. I love that. And that is available for pre-sale right now. And I do have a beautiful solo that my husband produced. And we have group numbers. I'm actually filming my part of the video footage for Go Tell It on the Mountain. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that, but you heard it here. I'm basically putting that together so that we can bring, more life to that project in the next few weeks.
Oh, that's one of my favorite songs. I love that. And I know your vocals because I actually have the 2017 Unbreakable CD, and it is amazing. If you guys have not checked that out, you need to check it out because it is just, how sometimes you get in your car and you just need something that's really gonna, there's something therapeutic about driving and listening to good music. And so Jennifer's CD is like one of my favorites, and I absolutely love your voice and can't wait to hear it. Go Tell It on the Mountain. You heard it first right here on Keys to Your Best Life. Oh my goodness. So for the audience, most of them probably know you because you have been in the show business for over 30 years. My goodness. You don't even look old enough to do that. We know you started as a kid.
Yes, that's the trick. Start
Yes.
when you're a minor.
Yes, yes. Start when you're a minor to have that legacy of years in the industry and so forth. How old were you, Jennifer, when you got started? I know you started in pageants, right?
Right. Yes. So my first actual stage performance was in preschool. I was Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, and I think they had to like Velcro my feet to the big silver shoes I was supposed to be wearing or something. So, and Toto was a koala bear. But I got that gig because I had memorized the little storybook and told it to the class by heart. So I knew very early, my mother knew very early on that this was something that I was naturally going to move towards. And really, you're right, with pageants, singing became my sport. It was really my competition. And so I would examine the stage, I would look at the trophies and the crowns, and I would say, I want that one. And I'd go for it, you know, and I was not interested at all in the beauty part. I was interested in the singing as loud and as high as possible and getting those crowns. And so I did do that for about 3 years, and I did have a lot of success there, which led me, my final competition led me to a children's agent out of Dallas, Texas. I'm from Texas. Okay. And on a handshake with my mother, she represented me. And one of the first auditions I got was the Mickey Mouse Club. And by the way, Maggie, you might not know this, but the original job was going to be for a movie about the original Mouseketeers called Why? Because We Like You. And I was going to play either Darlene or Doreen, depending on how much I grew up by the time they started filming. But then the writer's strike in Los Angeles at the end of the 80s happened, and they shifted all of our tapes to the final audition for the TV show. So I signed my contract when I was 10. Like, you know, like it's kind of like the Willy Wonka thing, like sign away, Charlie, we got nothing to lose. Like it was, let's just do this, you know, let's figure it out. And it was a contract for 7 seasons. And we thought, well, you know, it may not last that long, but good Lord, it absolutely lasted all 7 seasons through my senior year in high school. Wow. From 5th grade to 12th grade, I was a working professional in a full-time job.
Wow, that's so amazing. And there were some pretty impressive people there with you.
Yes. Well, yes. I mean, every single person had such a unique gifting. And I really am proud that I was able to kind of swim in those waters of diversity, honestly, and see how beautiful everyone was in their own way. And now, of course, what I love is that a lot of those people have gotten noticed. Of course, you know, we have a lot of celebrities. Maybe they're not all new celebrities. These are people we would have encountered in the late 90s, early 2000s in the bubblegum pop movement. We've got Justin Timberlake, Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, Kerry Russell, and Ryan Gosling, huge heavy hitting actors. We also have Tony Luca from The Voice. Now Rona Bennett, she's in En Vogue, an absolutely amazing, beautiful 90s R&B group that is still kicking today. Dee Dee Magno is actually one of the leading characters in Steven Universe. It's amazing how we've all kind of grown up and branched out and impacted the world in such different ways.
Wow, I love it. And I love the fact that you fell in love with Jesus.
Yes.
And you are impacting not only the world with entertainment and quality stuff, but you're also impacting the kingdom for the further of the gospel. And that's powerful. And, you know, it's so funny because I lived, you know, you lived in I lived in Winter Park. Mm-hmm. And so you were in the Orlando area. I didn't even know you back then. Of course, why would I? But, you know, I mean, we were in different circles, you know, I think my kids are probably about your age. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't know. You know what, you know, the whole joke about the whole baby face, I can't tell what anybody's age is because when I look in the mirror, I know what I am and I can't figure it out. So who knows?
I love it. I love it. I love it. But wow, being in, you know, it was a very diverse group that took off different areas in life. But what was it like being a child star? You know, that's a working professional at the age of 10. I mean, some adults can't handle that. Young adults, 18-year-olds, you know, going to college or whatever. You know, what was that like?
I would say that I had a lot of help because when you're a minor and you have to be led through the set, you can't just go unsupervised everywhere. Right. It's helpful to have your adults around to help guide you. They were very organized in our production. We had itineraries. And for me, I am one of the few organized creatives. And so I actually thrived with an organized production schedule. I really, when I look back on it, I didn't necessarily have a big social life during taping months outside of the show, because I would go home and it was probably 6:30. I caught up on that day's episode of the Mickey Mouse Club on the Disney Channel, reviewed all of my VHS tapes and stuff, and learned my script for the next day, and kind of had to go to bed. We did homework. I mean, I was a workaholic when I was itty bitty, and it seemed very normal for me to progress with this job. I mean, think of all the hours before that my mother and I were putting into pageant rehearsals and working on costuming and hand motions and memorizing lyrics. And then I would go perform around the neighborhood, around different city functions like the Lions Club. I was singing in church. I was very busy anyway. And I was in the gifted program as far as, the classes that you take in grade school. So we were always sort of pushing towards this life of excellence. My mother was huge on education. She was a gifted resource teacher herself. And so, both of her kids are gifted in the label of that. Everybody's gifted, but you know what I'm saying. Yes. And so, I feel like that trajectory made sense with me then getting on the show and really taking it seriously and really loving, I would say, the constant tug of war between I'm asked to be an adult in my presentation and my work environment, but I'm asked to be a kid in my performance. And so for all of that, I thrived much better on that side of professionalism versus feeling like I was, cool and popular and made sense socially. That took a lot longer for me to kind of rest in my identity. So, but I loved my time on that show because I loved the work.
Yeah, whenever you are, God creates us with gifts and talents and passion. And whenever you have the gift and talent, but yet you're passionate about it at a young age, it's just how you flow. It's who you are. And so it becomes so natural. And still today, you are an amazing performer whenever it comes to that. But even more than that, you're a worshiper. So you did a stint of a worship leader. You're not leading worship right now, right? Or no?
Not right now. Right now. I think that there's a lot of factors that, of course, make sense in this environment, but I did feel a shift, and really Milestone Melodies is one of those big shifts where my husband and I felt that this was the best way that we could combine our talents, especially right now when we are still in a time of isolation, social distancing. This is a way that we can love on people with parts of our talent that we really, really love spending time on, which for me actually is video editing. That's something that I didn't realize growing up with that TV production eye. It really trained me to editing and how to create beautiful moments of visuals that now I can use to help other people as Jeff and I and our company create music, for people. So really we've shifted in that way. And yes, I've poured a lot of my ministry into the Unbreakable album. I do have an Unbreakable course that I did teach, and at some point I'll have that available on DVD, or not DVD like people buy that. Maybe they do, but let's say, digitally there will be a download available at some point. But I would say the other side of that is I'm a president of PCG Online. And what that is that I'm helping towards the curriculum of artist development in PCG Artist Development, that company. And so what I do is I mentor young artists, a lot of females who are going through that same age range when I was trying to figure everything out on television, dealing with hormones and workloads and learning how to be an independent business person, how to create art, how to keep yourself together, how to know how to be transparent, right? Hopefully helping them avoid some of the pitfalls and the trenches I had to get through, during that time. So I'm giving back in that way as well, just being a mentor in PCG artist development in that way.
Oh, wow. I absolutely love that. I'm launching a mentoring type program for tweens and teens in January on it, not on this type of thing, mentoring them in their identity of who they are in Christ, and, talking about the tough stuff that nobody wants to talk about, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. But,
right.
Pretty much everything kind of.
I'm telling you, like, the gray areas need light and love and ministering. They do. And I'm very passionate about that too. A lot of my Unbreakable album is about, the universal language of power, and you're not alone. And yeah, you get knocked down. That's what the world can do, but that is not how you can stay. Don't let the negativity stay. Wrestle those challenges. Know that you're not alone wrestling those challenges, and know that you're not weird because these are the issues you're going through. I'm supported 100%. Love it.
Yes. Yeah. Whenever we think about normal, I mean, really normal is the cycle in the washing machine, nothing more. It is because, we're uniquely and fearfully, wonderfully made. And we're all going to have some of the same struggles. Jesus said it was going to happen. He said, in this world, you will have tribulation. So cheer up. I've overcome the world. And that's what I love about the Unbreakable CD is because when I've got it on the car, I just feel like such an overcomer.
Yeah.
Yes,
that's what it was for.
It's like,
right.
I might get knocked down. Yeah, I might get my knee skinned. I'm going to get back up. I'm going to dust myself off and I'm going to keep on going. And that's so exciting. But listen, this thing you're doing with your husband, I cannot tell you how excited I am about that. And I definitely want to make sure that we get the link for those of you watching, whether you're watching this on Periscope, YouTube, Facebook, wherever you're watching, we're going to make sure the link is in there because listen, cherishing moments in life and legacy is just like, I think about both of my parents have passed, they're in heaven, and I think about my sister did some oral history, with them before they died. And I think about, the photographs and all of that. And what you guys are doing, you're taking all that stuff to a whole nother level. And sound and audio and specialized music. Oh my goodness, it's going to be
Well, one of my favorite parts is that, once you've gone through the process of ordering the service, we ask you to write a letter to your loved one. And so we have songwriters who customize those lyrics based on your heart pouring out in what you give us to work with. And honestly, every time this is finished and our family is either surprising their daughter during the daddy-daughter dance or a husband is surprising his wife for their anniversary, it's tears. And we see it, like we have phone calls and we have video testimonials. And just the impact is almost like we feel sheepish even saying thank you because it's just not about us, right? But it's like finally we're able to have a way that our art can bless people in a universal way that stays. It won't collect dust. It's not something you just take out for Christmas for the tree. It is year-round something that you can celebrate with. This song that you can play for people. You can have it on your phone. I just, my mind is blown about how we can help people this way and really extend that love, like globally, if possible. So I share your excitement. I want more people to try us out and to talk about it and to give us feedback because we're just so excited. It's a very new business, but we're very excited about these first few months.
Oh, absolutely. And you're in a fairly, 2 years of marriage, maybe 3 years?
Oh, you know what? We just celebrated our 4th year in October. What? I know. You were around when I was getting married. It's crazy.
Oh my gosh. I was thinking it was like 2 years. Okay. That means that it's been way too long since I've seen you grow. 4 years.
Well, at least I still look cute. I hear that sometimes it's a lot of work to be married. So at least I'm okay so far.
I love how the Lord's taken your talents and his talents, blended them together and then launching a business, to become one flesh. But whenever you go into business with your spouse, it's a whole nother level because all of those creative pieces that you have, I always tell people all the time, he's got something that you don't have and you got something he doesn't have, but together, what a beautiful picture in helping people with their legacy. So I love that. Love it, love it, love it. So, wow. So during, how did you transition out of being a teen star? Because you're on TV all the time, all the time. How did you transition into, I know you live here in Middle Tennessee area. And so did you just up and move here or how did all that go down for those that don't know?
So I'm going to work backwards really quick because just last week I went into Walmart and, you've got the mask on and I'm returning some clothes. And I think it was just the lady over the counter, her name is Annette. And she said, why are you returning these clothes? And I was like, they're just not the right size. Do you want a gift card? No, yeah, it's fine, whatever. And she goes, is your name Jennifer? And I said, yes. She said, I'm a big fan. I bought the Christmas album. And I was like, I live here. This is great. It's so great to meet you. And I'm thinking, I'm literally like, all she sees is this. And we're talking about sizes of clothing, right? Wow. And it was just so impactful because I remember during the show, even the last season airing when I was in college in New York University, like big city, New York, still people will pop up and recognize me. And it's always a surprise. It's always like, oh, right. This still makes sense, I guess. Like that they, even just with my eyes or maybe the tone of my voice. And it just really boggles me that, and it humbles me that people are that attached to something that I've put out there that's my vocal fingerprint, just something about me that they can recognize like that, especially someone who's never met me before in person. And so that really humbles me as far as not anything about me, but the dedication of those fans. What was really special about that time was that was, of course, back before social media. Nobody had cell phones. I'm pretty sure the little kids didn't have pagers. And the only way that you could connect was through that television, right? And snail mail. And so, we'd send out an autograph every now and again. I think they would sometimes send us envelopes of letters that we could write back to, through the Disney Channel. But from our fans' perspective, they grew up with us. And especially with me over 7 years of looking at me on, on the television, I literally went from a preteen all the way to, right before I turned 18, And so it was, I can only imagine like what that would mean to be attached to someone like that. And so over time, what was interesting for me as far as letting go, I always mourned each season when it was done, because so much of my value I felt was in what I was doing for that show. I loved the work. I felt very at home, and I felt like I was, serving my purpose while we were working. But when I would come away from it, I would really have like this 2-week period of like, what am I going to do with my life? Like every time. And so what was interesting was what helped me detach from that show as I moved forward was encountering fans every now and again. And then seeing so many of my Mouseketeer friends start becoming famous. I thought, wow, look, we're continuing, like we're going on. This is proof that, we really are as talented as we think or whatever. And then though, to be completely transparent, there was a season, it was a good long season where I didn't understand what had been growing inside me since I was a little person. There was this self-doubt. There was this issue with, when I was 12 years old, production had told me, do not gain any more weight. And I was 12, right? And so even though I never was into the beauty pageants growing up, all of a sudden I felt like I was forced into one in my job. And I started realizing, now again, this was a fact from that production company, but it wasn't a truth that I could have I could have let go of that. It wasn't a fact that I was not good enough, right? That my body or my look was less than, but I allowed that sort of secret truth to stay there and grow. And so by the time that show was done and that validation was sort of fading, I would see all these other celebrities grow, and I wasn't doing that same path. And I felt very, very sad. And I felt like I'd failed. So I did go through a very long season of questioning my identity and struggling to try to do it all by myself without God. I definitely had a falling away time where I looked back on my journals, and I never left God. I was always talking about God and making my wish like he was a genie, but then I came back around. There was definitely a come to Jesus moment where basically around the time I turned 30, I got on my knees and I confessed that I had been trying to force a life upon myself, like without Jesus involved, without listening to any advice from the Holy Spirit, etc. And I was done trying to do it by myself because I was more miserable and lifeless than I had ever been, like so void of purpose and so isolated where I was. And, that moment I'll never forget, and I'll never go back to living like that again, because, that's why I made the Unbreakable album as a fighter album, because that's what most of my life really was fighting for understanding how I was created and why, fighting to celebrate even my flaws or even the challenges in life, fighting to overcome the losses in my life, and to realize that I have so much more to give, even through my mistakes and learning from them, than giving up, And so it's been a long, long fight, but I feel like that, again, since about 10 years ago, I really feel like, God and I have been great, that I feel like I've been able to give back, you know what I mean? And really give back in my imperfection. That's what I've been able to celebrate, is that's part of it. Like you said, this world is not going to be perfect, and we're not going to be perfect in this world, but that doesn't mean you throw out everything. You don't throw yourself away. And I did that for a long time, and now I don't.
It's a lot of pressure on yourself. And we do that as women specifically. Men deal with it some, with their identity and so forth. And I can see where, I had all kinds of identity problems just on the other end of it, not from, being in an industry that, had me into that position where I was constantly trying to look good, sound good, and all of that. And I can see where that would be in a tremendous amount of pressure, but you did it so with such ease and such grace. And, I'm a firm believer. We don't have the mountaintop experiences unless we've been in the valley. And coming out of that, it can be painful, but God has got you on the mountain again, girl. And I just love seeing what he's doing with you and your husband and this new Christmas album coming out. Can't wait to hear it. Where is it going to be? Is it out now or is it?
There is a link I'm sure I can get for you, which is the pre-sale link.
Awesome.
But even better, it may be better to give you the people.com article because People did an article on the album. Awesome. And they debuted, who's doing what as far as what the album songs are. And then basically right now, if you've pre-ordered, you can preview the songs. So you're able to listen in like however much that is, 30 seconds long or whatever. So yeah, basically we have a link so that you can buy it ahead of time. And then it releases officially. It drops on Black Friday, which I believe is November 27th.
Nice. So that's right around the corner, y'all. So listen, every year you should add to your music collection. I'm just a firm believer in that. I know, some of the songs are just classic songs that we listen to every year, but you need a splash of some Disney folks in there. So make sure to get that album and definitely check out her business. So Jennifer, if you could leave the audience with a key, any type of key to encourage them today, what would that key be?
Well, I've experienced from a lot of people I've been talking with in the last few years. Of course, we are a diverse community of Christians and Jesus followers and givers of light and love. And I think that what I have boiled everything down to, talking about, ministering in the gray areas, etc. What I hold true to when I feel like there's a lot going on and I need to simplify my focus in order to stay connected to God and how to love the world and myself correctly, I do boil it down to love God, love yourself, love others in that order, because we are humans and we're going to run out of steam. We're going to have bad days and better days, etc. But if we can connect to why we're here, how we're made, who gives us our strength and love, make sure that we're good, that we understand how beautiful and valuable we are and how powerful our love can be, then it's time to give that to other people and to show them that connection as well. And in that way, it's just a wonderful connection, like just linking everyone together. And I feel that that is how we actually gain light and love for the kingdom, is through that simple but powerful reconnection or extension of that love.
Wow, that's absolutely beautiful, and it's so true. We are in a state right now where there's a lot going on in the world, and we have to extend love and kindness. But if you do not experience the love of God, you don't really know what that is. And I know I fought for my identity for a long time, and finally I was just content with, okay, God, this is how you created me. I'm not going to try to stick myself in a box. So for those of you watching, make sure you love today. That was beautifully said, Jennifer. We love you. We thank you. And I hope all of you all will get this out to your friends and families and loved ones. Make sure you get the album. Check out this new business. Jennifer, always a pleasure to visit with you. I love you, sweet sister. Thank you so much for taking time to be on here today.